Hi, I'm Beverly Payne, and thanks for joining me here on Payne and Simple Makes. So today we are making giant sunflowers, just like this one right here. So this is a very simple project. Again, I love those simple ones using cardstock, hot glue, and also some craft glue. So the flowers that I have made, I'm making out of lightweight cardstock. So it's about 65 pounds, easy to find on Amazon, easy to find at Michael's. I'll put some links in the notes below so that you can find those if you need them. But I'm a big believer also in using what's in your stash. So we have a few parts to this sunflower. There's a seed head that's 2 layers. Then you have your petals. We have about 24 petals, and then a sepal on the back if you want to do that. That's totally optional, that sepal part, and it may depend on how you're going to display your sunflower when you are done with it. If you're going to put it on the wall or in a shadow box maybe, although this would be a really big shadow box. If you're going to do that though, you probably don't need the sepals. If you are going to put them in a vase, like on a stem, then you probably are going to want the sepals. So this is a really fun project, and it doesn't take that long. I cut all these materials out, all these parts out on my Cricut Maker. You can use scissors if you don't have a cutting machine. I have all of the SVGs, all the patterns that you need in my Maker library. So you go over to beverlypayne.com, click on Maker Library, and then download. You'll have to put in your password, then download the files for the giant sunflower. If you haven't joined my Maker library, click on that Maker library link, join, and I'll email you the password. And these are all free. Everything in my Maker library is free. So I love this project because as a summer girl at heart, sunflowers just scream summer to me, right? They're ubiquitous, I think, and I grow them every year. In my flower beds, in my garden. The birds help me sometimes by moving my seeds around. But I think this time of year, a lot of people who maybe aren't summer gals at heart are thinking, gosh, I really wish it was fall. I'm wanting to do fall projects. Well, this is a great project for transition, and I think sunflowers are a great flower for transition because even though they may scream summer to us, we also use sunflowers quite a bit in our fall decorations and in our fall decor. And so I also made one in more fall colors. This is kind of a burnt orange or red color that seems to be more of a fall oriented color. And it's from the Recollection Spice Pack. It's a multi-colored pack, and I just used this kind of reddish orange. And last year, to be honest with you, I grew sunflowers that were very close to this color, and they were beautiful. So I think that you could do a very summery sunflower if you wanted to, or you could use some fall colors and make something that's a little bit more fall-like if that is what you prefer. So again, very simple materials. You just need cardstock, you need hot glue, you also need a glue stick. If you don't have a hot glue gun, that's okay because you can use craft glue, a craft glue stick to glue everything if you want to. I used a cutting machine, you don't have to, but those are basically all the materials that you need for this project. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Please, if you do like it, hit like, subscribe to my channel if you haven't done that already, and I will put links to all my materials down below in the notes section. I can't wait to see the sunflowers that you create. So please, after you make one, share it on my Facebook page. It's Payne and Simple Makes. That's my Facebook page. So go there, share it on my website. That would be fine. I'd love to have some comments on my website. So be sure and do that. And thanks again for watching. To start our giant sunflower project, I'm going to show you how I cut this with my Cricut Maker. And you can, if you have a Cricut or other cutting machine, you can use you can use whatever you have. You can also cut this out with scissors. The petals will be pretty easy. The only thing that could get tricky is the seed head, but honestly, I haven't tried that with scissors, so I'm not sure. But let's go ahead and let me show you how I cut this out with my Cricut Maker. I start Cricut Design Space, choose New Project, and then Upload. So I'm going to upload the file, the giant sunflower file that's on my Maker library, in my Maker library. So if you did not, if you have not downloaded that yet, you'll need to go to beverlypayne.com, click on Maker Library, put in the password, and then download the giant sunflower file. If you haven't joined my Maker library, it's simple. Just put in your email address. I will email you the password, and then you can download this free file as well. So once you have found it on your computer, you're going to upload it. I'm going to click on what I just uploaded and then insert images. So there's lots of different pieces to this project because of all the petals and everything, but I have it all grouped. It's going to come into Cricut Design Space all grouped. So this has been designed, I designed this so that it is a giant sunflower, but all the petals, everything will fit on 8.5 by 11 paper. So that kind of gives you an idea about how big that might be. If you want to do a smaller sunflower, that's fine, you can do that. But before ungrouping everything, I would advise you to resize first. So decide on what size you want and resize now, and then you can ungroup. But if you're happy doing the giant version and you're happy with the size, then go ahead and ungroup. And you can see over here on the right all the different pieces that we have. There's 2 pieces here for the seed head, and then you've got lots of petals. And I think I used 3 or 4 different shaped petals from a sunflower that I actually grew this summer. There's also a base, and you really can cut that out in any color that you want to. And then this very last shape down here that has all these little crazy pieces coming out of it, this is your sepal. It's totally optional to cut. If you are going to, if no one's ever going to see the back of your sunflower, then you probably don't even need to bother with this. Like if it's going to go up on the wall or if it is going to go in a shadow box, you wouldn't necessarily need to cut this. If you're going to have it in a vase or something, you might want the back to look a little more finished, and so then you might want to cut that. So it's totally optional there. So this sunflower, I went ahead and did yellow petals because that's what most sunflowers are. But you know, there are sunflowers that are different colors that are more red or orangey. So you can cut whatever color you want to. But if you're happy with everything, just go ahead and click Make It. And Design Space is going to sort your mats for you. And by default, everything comes in on a 12 by 12 mat size. The only place that really matters is for the petals. And so I'm going to go ahead and change all of my paper sizes to 8.5 by 11 now, because if I don't, I'll forget to do it. And so it looks like on mat 6, I need to change it again. Just wanting to make sure that everything is on 8.5 by 11. Let me take a look. This thing here gets kind of tricky. And I've had to rotate it sometimes when it was sticking too far out. But I think it's going to work too. Okay, so I'm just going to go back to the top and we'll just cut all these things in order. So click on that first mat, hit continue. It's going to find my maker, and I'm going to be doing about, I think it's light cardstock actually that I'm using. Yeah, it's about 65-pound cardstock that I'm using. So you just need your fine point blade loaded in, and then we're ready to go. Before I start cutting, I want to go over some of the supplies that you'll need for this project. If you're using a cutting machine like a Cricut, I'm using my Cricut Maker, you're going to need some cutting mats. I'm using 2 of the standard grip. You need construction paper. This construction paper is lightweight at 65 pounds. So you could probably get away with your blue mats if you want to, if you don't have a green mat. And you need assorted colors. This sunflower that I made here, I used like a primary yellow, but what I'm going to show you, actually, I'm going to make one of those that looks kind of reddish orange. So I'm going to use this reddish orange color, and it comes from the Spice Market Recollections collection that you can get at Amazon. I'll put a link, of course, to all these supplies in the notes, but you can get it at Amazon, you can get it at Michael's. You're going to need a hot glue gun with some glue sticks. If you are using a cutting machine, you may need some tools. I've got my scraper and the spatula. I always have scissors. I always like to have my brayer handy. Again, that's sort of an optional thing, but I like to have it handy. And you probably need some kind of craft glue. I like this glue stick here. It's just an Elmer's glue stick. So these are the items that you're going to need. So let's get started with cutting. So you may wonder what this blue spot is on the cover sheets for my mats, and it's just some painter's tape that I have that I use for different projects, and it's just so I know which side is up, because it's hard to tell that. Any of you who've ever dealt with that, you know what I mean. Okay, so the first thing that's going to cut is the top portion of your seed head. So I'm doing that out of a brown. You could use a light tan if you wanted to. This is a fairly new mat, and it's the standard grip, and it's lightweight cardstock, so I probably don't need to use my brayer, but that's why I have it here, is to make sure that I get that cardstock on that mat. And I'm just going to put it in my machine, and I'm going to let it cut. Now the next thing that is going to cut are some petals, and like I said, I'm going to try to do kind of a reddish orange, and I'm going to need 7 sheets. Whatever color you do your petals in, you're going to need 7 sheets. So I've got that ready to go. I'm going to make sure I've got plenty more paper. So I need 3 more sheets of that spice that's kind of an orangey red color. One of the great things about sunflowers is that they're so ubiquitous in summertime, but they also appear in a lot of fall decorations, a lot of wreaths and things like that, and especially some of these that are a little more reddish orange. So it's I think this is a good project to actually transition from summer into fall. I'm such a summer girl at heart. I hate to see it go, but some of the fall projects are some of my favorite. And this giant sunflower, of course, is just kind of hits on all the different things that I love about summer and fall. So you can see it's taken a little while to cut that seed head because it has to cut, the machine has to cut every single one of these seed heads. Let me show you what I'm talking about here on this one that I've already done. So everywhere that you see a black hole, this is actually a hole that was cut in this sort of tan color construction paper to help construct this seed head. It's actually 2 layers. There's a black layer and then this tan layer. You could do, if you didn't want to do a black layer, you could do a dark brown. That would work. This brown that I'm using right now that's cutting is actually darker than this tan, so I'm kind of interested to see how it's going to look. But I felt like going with this color of petal, that the darker brown might actually look better. So you have several layers here, and we'll just talk about this while my machine cuts. But like I said, you've got 2 layers that actually make up the seed head, and then for the most part you've got 2 layers of petals. So sunflowers, I can't remember how many petals we're going to cut all together. I think it's well, let's just count them. 24. So that's what I wanted to say. I should go. Sometimes I should rely on my memory, but that's not a good rule of thumb for me. So most sunflowers have around 24 petals. Now you can cut more, you can cut less. It's fine, however you want your sunflower to look. You know, I put probably about half of those on the first layer, and then I come in and I put the rest of them. And of course there at the very end, you're just filling in the gaps because you want it to look nice and full all the way around. Okay, so that seed head, the first layer, has finally cut, and so we can load in the first mat for our petals. It will cut a little bit faster. So we need to remove this from the mat, and so you want to, you know, be careful. You don't want to tear what you need, and this is what you need. And so there's a lot of paper left here that can be used for another project, and so I always like to keep those scraps because you never know when you need them. Now we need to clean this mat, and I just like to use this scraper tool, and I usually do this over the trash can, but just to show you in case you're not familiar, if you're a beginning Cricketer, you can just use this and just scrape these right off. And I can tell that my first mat of petals has cut. Alright, so I need to put another sheet of my petal paper, cardstock, on my mat. Making sure to get it lined up. There's some petals. Loading in mat 2 for the petals. Is actually mat 3 on my screen. Alright, I'm going to get rid of all of these. Get them off my work surface. And you can use those like for shaker cards maybe. So this is that nice, the top part of the seed head. So it's kind of nice, interesting. And now we need to remove these petals. This will be a lot easier. You all probably can hear that weird sound that my machine is making. I'm not really sure what that's all about. Hopefully we'll get through this project though before my machine dies. Alright, so we've got 4 petals there. Let's prep this next mat for more petals. It's already finished. with these others. So we're going to let it unload that mat. We're going to load in our next mat. Still working with petals, because remember, we've got to get 24 petals cut for this project. All right, we have that seed head cut out now, so we are ready to actually start gluing some things together. I think our hot glue gun maybe is hot enough that we can start. So the first thing I'm going to do is to sort of figure out how my seed head is supposed to fit, because remember, the layer in black is solid and it's going to go underneath the brown layer so that we can actually see some different seed pods, I guess. So that's how mine needs to go. You just need to figure that out. So I'm going to flip this seed head over, and I'm going to take my glue stick. It's just extra strength Elmer's Craft Bond glue stick. And I am pretty much just going to put glue all over the back of this. And you may want to have a scrap piece of paper down below, because you are going to get some glue on your surface, which you'll need to clean up. Alright, so once I've got that glue, I'm going to flip it back over. Move that out of the way temporarily. And then you want to align it to the base of that seed head and then press it down. And mine is not exactly perfect. That's okay. And I'm just gonna spread out some of this glue that you can see there. It's going to dry clear. If you use the right kind of glue, it'll dry clear and you won't have an issue with it. All right, I'm going to clean off my mat here so I can keep using it. So I'm going to just put this to the side. Oops, put that to the side. That is still sticky. Oh well, I'm not going to be able to use that then. Not right now. And I think I'm done with my glue sticks. I'm going to close that up and put it to the side. I've got glue on my hands, everything's sticking to them. Okay, so I cut the base out in green, and that's going to help me to really see these different colors. Now, I've got 4 different shapes of petals here. So I have got 6 of this shape. I think I've got lots of this one. There must have been a lot of similar to this shape on the sunflower. So I've actually got 10 of these. So what I'm gonna do is put each one in 2 groups. And this one, I've only got 4. And this one, I've only got 4. Okay. And I'm actually thinking that those, probably most of those will go, will need to go on the inner layer. Before I can actually start gluing though, we need to do a little bit of work on these petals to make them a little more realistic. If you have a bone folder, you can use it. You might actually have a scoring tool. This is a Leah Griffith Fisker's shaping tool that I'm going to use. But you can also use this if you've got just a regular mat scraper. Excuse me. So what we want to do is score. This is why I needed my mat now. we want to score each of these petals. So I'm putting one score mark down the center, and then I'm putting another one down the side. And then in addition to that, I'm just gonna curl them a little bit. And so you can see now, instead of it just being flat, it's got a little more dimension to it. So we need to take a little while and take care of this. It's about to forget that step. That would have not been bad, not been good. You don't have to worry either about, you know, getting these score lines perfect. We're not worried about that. And in fact, you don't even have to do 3 on each of them. I think on the yellow one that I've created, most of them probably have 3, but I think there are some that only have 2. And so that's okay too. You just want to score them, bend them, get a little bit of dimension going. So this takes, you know, this is going to take a few minutes to do. Maybe I will speed up the video for you so that you don't have to watch all of this if you don't want to. You can see that I'm just take my hand and run it down that score mark, and that helps with my scoring. And on these particular, this one that's shaped like this, I'm scoring some of them on this side and some of them on that side. See, this was the one I just did. And that's okay too, because that also brings some dimension and verisimilitude to the project, which we, with our gluing. All right, so I hope you noticed like how quickly I went through the shaping of those petals. They don't have to be perfect. The finished product is going to be so much more than you know, the wrinkles or lack of wrinkles on a petal. All right, so let's get started. So what we're going to do is put glue, hot glue, down here at the bottom of this petal on the back, and then we're going to glue it. And I'm coming in probably a little more than 1 inch here. Yeah, probably coming in a little bit more than 1 inch. If you wanted to take a pencil and kind of draw yourself a circle, we did this, I think, with our giant Black-Eyed Susan that we did. You can do that. So this is the back layer we're going to start with. So you're just going to add some hot glue. And I usually start at 12 o'clock. And again, that's, you know, I'm probably coming in just about 1.25 inches, maybe, something like that. More hot glue down here on the back side of the petal. Again, coming in about 1.25 inches. If you want to shape those a little bit more there, that's fine too. So I did 12 and 6. I've switched to a different shaped petal. Same thing, but I'm going at 3. And that was hot. That was some hot glue there on the that I got on my finger. I always burn myself with hot glue, and yet I love to use it. So the trick here is not, and I don't know why we have this tendency, and maybe you don't, but sometimes I try to get really close to the edge of this base. You don't want to do that. You want to try to keep that back layer about 1 inch, 1.25 inches in. All right, so I'm going to continue gluing. Just sort of filling in the spaces around this circle. trying to see what I want to do here. I need to put a few more petals on. So at this point, I'm still working on the back layer, but I'm also trying to fill in some of the bigger gaps that I might see. All right, I think I've got about 12 petals on here so far. So that's pretty much going to be my back layer. So now I want to work on, can't even talk today, work on the inner layer or top layer. And so what we're going to do there is we're just going to bring these in probably about another inch. And again, I like to put my seed head up there to see what that's going to look like. I might even bring it in maybe the same amount, like an inch and a quarter, something like that. And again, I'm going to randomly place these. But my two shortest, these are my two shortest shapes, and I've got 4 of them left. So I'm going to save those until the very end. I'm going to place these other ones first. And I'm still going to sort of do the same, I guess the same method for the most part that I did. I'm going to try to go opposite. So that was kind of 11 and 5 that I just did there. Go about 4 and 10-ish. But as you're doing this inner layer, you do want to kind of look, don't pay attention to this, but just look around and see, okay, where does it not seem quite so full? And so now I'm down to these last 4 short ones. The other thing is that while a sunflower has basically these number of petals, it's not exact. And if you think that 20 looks great, then you just stop at 20, because this is your giant sunflower. You do whatever you want to do. So the reason I save these short ones for last is because it's very likely that they are going to have to go in front of one that has already been placed down. There's not going to be a gap. And so, you know, one of the beauties of the sunflower is that you can kind of see all of the petals. All right, so this is what we've got so far. We've got 24 petals, basically 2-ish layers on that base. Okay. Now, you may want to go ahead, if you're using the sepal, you could go ahead and glue that down if you want to. That is hot. I may have it on low, but low is hot. Make no mistake. And it's probably a little too hot. Can you see? I don't know if you can see that it's discolored my paper a little bit there. Okay, so the last thing we have left to do is to put our seed head on. And so you can decide how you want that to look, how you want it to go. I think I like that. So I'm going to turn that over. I'll glue this on. Now, one of the things that I had thought about doing, and if I make another one, I probably will do this, is that instead of gluing this seed head on, I may use these dots, double-sided, double adhesive dots there, and that would just actually pump this up a little bit and give it another dimension. But this is your giant sunflower. This one's a little reddish orange, perfect for fall. Please share on my Facebook page and the comments on my website. And if you like this video, please click like and subscribe to my channel. I'd love to hear from you. Thanks.